Hello and welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live. My name is Daniel Caw and I am over the moon to be joined by my esteemed colleagues Keith Jackson and Andy Newport. How's it going, guys?
Yeah, good. I see you're digging into the cliche drawer already today, so that's a good start.
Didn't research one for today.
No.
You all right, Andy?
I'm very well. And yourself, Daniel?
I'm very good, thanks. Before we go any further, guys, we are obviously talking after Celtic have beaten Falkirk in the Premier Sports Cup. One man who was at the game was none other than Record Sports' Michael Gannon. Mick, how's it going?
Not bad, chaps. How's things? You all right?
Hello, Michael.
Hi, Mike.
Hello, chaps.
What did you think of the game, Mick?
It was really entertaining. Thought it was a real good cup tie. A match that could have been a kind of a formality on paper turned into a right good battle. You've got to say, fair play to Falkirk. They come here. I mean, certainly put out a kind of 8 changes to Rodgers' team. Not a shadow team, but a much changed side with a lot of fringe men. And Falkirk came here and did to Celtic what no other team in Scotland or beyond have done this season, which has given them a right good fright, had them rattled. John McGinn, he likes to play the kind of Celtic way. He obviously learned a lot under Rodgers when they were together back in his first spell. And Falkirk were terrific, high pressing, really intense. They brave on the ball. I mean, trying to pass the ball out the back, hitting the break, physical when they had to be. I thought they were terrific. And for an hour, Celtic didn't really have any answers. I mean, they were 2-1 down, really struggling. I mean, the second half, I think they didn't muster a shot on target in the second half until after the hour mark. And by that point, Rodgers had seen enough and sent on the big boys. Arnie Engels, £11 million. Nicholas Kuhn, £3 million. These kind of guys, Greg Taylor and Yang. I mean, they chucked on, I don't know, about £20 million worth of talent. And it showed when at that point, Falkirk were starting to run out of gas. And Celtic's quality really showing through. Nicholas Kuhn, who looks like a new man, completely changed the game. Set up 2 goals in 2 minutes for Adam Ida. And scored 2 himself. A couple of crack finishes himself. So by the end, it looks 5-2, looks a comfortable afternoon, but it wasn't. For 70 minutes, it was really uncomfortable for Celtic. And it's maybe a wee reminder that some of the fringe men have a lot of work required to get up to standard to be in this team. Listen, you've got to caveat that there's not a lot of them, guys like Austin Trusty, Alex Baye, not a lot of minutes in the pitch, so they really are going to be rusty. And it kind of showed today. They weren't great. Lewis Palmer, another one. Not the best afternoon, but I guess they'll benefit from the minutes. But it does show you the level that they're required to get into this. That team is going to be pretty high, and they'll probably need to do more.
Yeah, I tell you what, Mick, we've spent a lot of time over the last few weeks talking about how healthy Celtic are in terms of their squad and the competition for places. I actually said the other night I thought he'd make about 8 changes for this game. So you can't have your cake and eat it with this one. Do you know what I mean? There is a good squad there. There is a lot of talented options. I actually think it was all about Falkirk today and the way they approached it. I thought they were terrific. And by the way, if they can come up this season into the Premier League on that evidence, you've got to say they'll be a welcome addition. The football they played was just terrific.
See, just on that, Keith, before you come back in, Mick, Kazi's written in saying, best team to face Celtic so far this season, well done to them. Andres Borgesson says, fair play to Falkirk, top 3 clubs in Scotland, in my opinion, Celtic, Aberdeen and Falkirk. They were brilliant though, Mick, today, Falkirk, absolutely, for at least an hour.
I'm not surprised. I saw them in the last round against Hearts, and they were terrific that day as well. Play football, a really good style of football. I mean, they're so brave in the ball. No, I wasn't that surprised. I was slightly surprised at just how well they played against Celtic, given the fact Celtic had been blowing teams away. But you could see fairly early on, Celtic were a bit disjointed, didn't have the same cohesion, all these changes. It took a bit of time to settle, and by that time they're a goal down, they get the goal back. Still never really clicked at all, and then Falkirk also hit them before half time. But yeah, I think you're right that today is a day about Falkirk. I mean, I think we've got a cracking manager as well. I mean, I'm not surprised there's talk about likes of St Johnstone interested in him. They'd be mad not to be interested in him. He's a real. He's not. I guess he's not the kind of sexiest name in football because we know him so well. He's run the game for a long time, but he's this kind of more recent incarnation of John McGinn is completely different to the one we saw at Hearts over a decade ago. Yeah. I mean, we saw him at Wraith, similar kind of style and way of playing, and now at Falkirk, he's a really kind of exciting manager to watch on the pitch. I mean, his teams play great football. like I say, he's adopted this kind of Celtic model and really ran with it. And it's terrific. He's done a great job at Falkirk. The question is, I mean, it's like I said, talk about St Johnstone. I mean, did he stay at Falkirk and get them to the Premiership, or did he go to St Johnstone and try and keep them in it? Listen, there's a question for you. I think he should stay where he is and get Falkirk to the promised land, to be honest with you. But who knows?
Mike, you're saying there about he should be going to St Johnstone. I mean, surely Hearts should be looking at him. He's obviously got a previous track record with Hearts. You look at the style of football he plays. I mean, for me, you know what?
Listen, if you put John McGlynn into the Star Lizard app and see what comes out, I don't know how they do with the stats and all that stuff. But I'd imagine John McGlynn 43 league matches unbeaten, and having given Celtic a game, that must have. I mean, I don't know what kind of app you're using. That's going to look impressive stats no matter what.
Do you think they would take them under serious consideration?
I don't.
I think they should, by the way, but I'm not sure that they will.
I don't think they would. Because it's not a sexy kind of name. They'll want some kind of sexy foreigner, won't they? They'll look at Aberdeen and Jimmy Thielen as well and think that's a kind of they want some kind of Scandic hipster, won't they?
If you're talking about sexy football, that was sexy football today, wasn't it? I mean, they were absolutely.
You know how these guys operate. You know how both think sometimes, and they've got to sell it to the public. They want some kind of sexy Scandi.
Listen, he could just rename himself John McGinio or something like that, and we'll repackage him. Get rid of
Jonas McVinson.
We'll get rid of the baseball cap and get him a wee beret or something like that.
Jonas McVinson would do a great job.
There's not much we can do about his accent, no, guys. That's staying. We're not making that a IKEA move anytime soon. Honestly, see that brand of football, that is terrific. And that deserves to be showcased in the Premier League, be it St Johnstone, be it Hearts, or be it at Falkirk next season. That's Scottish football needs that. It's really refreshing. And I think, Mick, you're absolutely spot on. It's like he's just taken Brendan's big book of how to build a football team and just copied it. And by the way, out Brendan for a long spell at today's game. So, no, you can't give the guy enough credit. And it is going to be fascinating. His name, whether or not Star Lizard throws it up or not, his name has got to be high on lists for whatever club is now, because we're getting into that phase of the season. There'll be a mad window for about 2 or 3 months where it'll not just be Hearts and St Johnstone that'll look for managers. John McGlynn, you've got to say, his body of work that's behind him now, that performance today will really have helped him. I think he will be a guy, a person of interest for a number of clubs at this point.
I mean, how could he not be?
Yeah.
I mean, 43 matches unbeaten.
As Mick said, it's just this. There's this snobbery, and there's this. We want to go to an artisan coffee shop and whatever to find the next manager, and he wears stripy socks and he carries a laptop. John McGlynn, is like the polar opposite. He's a throwback in many ways, but that wasn't throwback football today. That was contemporary, really modern.
You know what, Keith? I actually disagree with you. He's not a throwback. That's the thing. He talk to players that play with him. The work he does on preparation for matches is absolutely, it's so thorough. It's actually ridiculous. I mean, the homework the boys get. I mean, the analysis he does is so meticulous and thorough. It's unbelievable, honestly.
I know. I'm talking
everyone's the same thing.
I'm talking more in the way he comes across. He comes across as an old school throwback, doesn't he? You're right. He does the research. There's no doubt about it.
In terms of how he works, he's very modern and very thorough. I mean, he's absolutely meticulous. So no, I take that. But this is always the same. I mean, you look at Hearts and all that stuff. I mean, you think they'd be a quick phone call to Derek McInnes down at Kilmarnock and ask them to go and help them out. You'll have them finish the third, no bother, that kind of thing. A lot of boards overcomplicate things sometimes, don't they?
Yeah.
We had this comment sent in, Mick, put this to you. 8 changes is far too many, but we learned a lot. Hatate needs a rest. Palmer, despite being technically gifted, doesn't fit. Yang's a better backup to Maeda. Tough baptism of fire for Vai. And of course, we haven't even mentioned yet, but Aberdeen in the semi-finals. It's not going to be an easy tie, that one.
Well, he won't be putting out the same team again, that's for sure, in that match. I don't know, Mick. I don't want to rush to judgment here either because, as you said, understandably, be a bit rustiness with guys that haven't been getting a game. But I thought there was like an axis of evil down the left-hand side of Celtic's defence, in between Trusty and Vi. That would be a little bit disconcerting if that's, getting a look at these guys for the first time. They were really, really struggling in that first half.
Yeah, I thought it was a real crash course in Scottish football for young Alex Bailly.
Yeah.
I actually thought the first goal there was a strong case for a free kick, but regardless, he's got to be stronger than that.
Not in the replays, mate. Not in the replays.
I've only seen it a couple of times. I thought it may be a case for a foul, but he's got to be stronger. And in the second one, he's brushed aside in the second one as well. Need to be more physical. I mean, a young lad looked quite nice on the ball, but I think needs to be more physical. Welcome to Scotland. Trusty, I think, he looked a bit rusty. Pardon the rhyme.
You've definitely got that in your coffee. 100% you've got that in your coffee.
Couldn't resist.
You saw the smile on his face just before he said it.
Well, I'm going to put it back in now. Definitely looked a bit rusty. When he's going to get game time, that's the big question. Obviously, the Carter Vickers was injured today. He wasn't rested. He was injured. He's got a slight problem with his foot, which might need to be maintained over the next kind of coming weeks and months. So you think there will be opportunities for him to get up to speed, but I think that's a case of him just getting up to speed and getting used to his surroundings. It's a whole new back four, and it looked like a whole new back four, didn't it? A wee bit disjointed, positionally a wee bit off. Didn't deal with situations particularly great. Even building from the back, I thought it looked a wee bit uncomfortable as well at times. But again, you can dismiss that as being down to all the changes, I guess. But yeah. Not an easy day for them, not an easy kind of first start for them, that's for sure.
Yeah, but they got there in the end, didn't they? And now, I mean, what about this draw? The draw has, I mean, I think Rangers fans were probably watching that through the cracks in their fingers, just fully expecting that they were going to get a semi-final against Celtic. But it's Aberdeen who have to worry about dealing with Brendan Rodgers' side. That actually is going to be a cracker, given that they are clearly the two form sides in the country right now.
It's going to be some week for Aberdeen. I think they've got Rangers on the Wednesday night and Celtic in the Cup at the weekend. So we'll find out what they're made of. I mean, I think they play Celtic at Parkhead on the 19th. Then they've got Dundee United in the kind of new firm derby. Then it's Rangers, then Celtic again. So they've got four crackers in the bounce at the end of October. So that's when we'll find out what they're made of. They've had a great start to the season. And we're going to wait and see when they're tested against some of the better sides as well. None more so than that. That kind of fortnight, 3 weeks, that's going to be a heck of a spell for them. Going from Rangers on Wednesday into Hampden against Celtic.
A measuring stick for them. I mean, we've all been, very impressed with the start that Jimmy Tillman's made up there. I think there's real substance to the guy. I think that they are going to be a force this season, a genuine force. I'm not saying they're going to contend for the title, but I think they can stay in Celtic's coattails. And I do expect them, when the real acid test comes, I expect them to, I'm not saying they're going to blitz through their games and they're going to remain unbeaten. But I think they'll give Rangers, Celtic, I think they'll give them a proper game. I think that this is a proper, credible challenge from Pittodrie this year.
But how about this for a hospital pass? We've had a comment in Simi Ferry saying hardest possible draw for Celtic. Do you guys think in that draw today Aberdeen was the hardest possible draw?
I think that Rangers would have been looking at that and dreading the possibility of another quick turnaround and a quick showdown with Celtic, because Brendan Rodgers quite clearly has got their number. Rangers actually need a bit of breathing space and a bit of room to grow before they come round to face Celtic again. Now, whether that's in the League Cup final in December, I think that would be, or whether it's the league game at the start of January, I think the last thing that Rangers need right now, where they're trying to lick their wounds and try and build some sort of momentum, the very last thing that they needed was to be thrown back on a quick collision course with Celtic. Mm-hmm. So, in that regard, yeah, I think Celtic would be more than confident going into an Old Firm game if one was to be played in the next few weeks. But there's an unknown quantity about this Aberdeen side just now, isn't there? And that's what makes it intriguing. So, yeah, I think maybe there is more jeopardy for Celtic facing Aberdeen in the semi-final than there would have been had they been thrown back into the melting pot with Rangers.
It's a bit of a nightmare for Aberdeen. It's a bit of a nightmare for Aberdeen, right enough. I mean, I need to go check the record books, but Brendan Rodgers against Aberdeen at Hampden, he must have played them about 140 times and beat them every time.
No, it does feel that way, I know. It does.
They must have seen the drama. Oh, no, him again. No, him again.
Well, on the comment section, Rangers Easy OK is written in saying Aberdeen haven't played anyone yet. They've played St Mirren and Kelly, both after they played in Europe Thursday night. We'll put them away, no bother. I think he's already got the final lined up. Mick, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll let you get up the road. Thank you very much.
Wait, do my work now, boys.
Bye-bye, Michael.
Your real job.
Thank you for joining us, Mick. Much appreciated.
For me, send it my direction, please.
Trusty Rusty.
Wait, change my copy now.
Thanks, Mick.
Cheers, chaps.
Andy, what do you think about that? What we're talking about?
About whether Rangers would want to play Celtic at this stage, I couldn't agree more with you. I think the last couple of games you've seen, very, very, very faint shoots of optimism for this team. I've just written up my match report for tomorrow's paper that, listen, Rangers are miles behind Celtic, but there has to be a turning point somewhere. And I think just reading the mood music around about the club right now, just certain things off the field, as much as losing John Bennett and the Dave King thing is a sideshow, that there are things going on at Ibrox right now that should reassure and should give confidence and optimism to some of the Rangers support.
What would that be?
In terms of, say, slashing the wage bill, it's down millions from last year. In terms of, for the first time in a decade, they are now litigation free. They'll have to. There's some bills to pay. Obviously, rent out Hampden. Obviously, this elite deal. Well, so this elite deal that they settled in court, they'll have to. I don't think it's as big a settlement as they were fearing. So that's a positive. But and obviously being back at Ibrox as well is a plus point. But as I say, that's the first time in a decade that they're free of litigation, which I don't think it can be understated, just the debilitating effect that had on their budget and their ability to spend, having to spend million upon million in court cases, legal fees and settlements. So the fact that that's now been addressed should offer room for positivity. There's obviously still a lot of work to be done. They need to get a chairman, they need to get a CEO, and they obviously need to sort their team out. But I think you've seen in certain. I didn't think it was a great team performance yesterday. The 3-0 win over Dundee. It wasn't a flowing game of football, but I think you can look at certain individuals' performances and think certain guys played well. I'm talking about Yefty. I thought I had concerns about him in pre-season. I went to Berlin, the friendly against Union Berlin, and to say he was defensively suspect would be an understatement. Just had no sense of danger over his shoulder, no wing mirrors. All great sort of fullbacks have to have that ability to sense danger and behind them. It was 2 or 3 times he get caught totally ball watching and somebody drifted in the corner over his shoulder. I think he's tightened up that aspect, and on the ball he looks like a real prospect. So I think that's somebody that they can look at and go, okay, there's somebody you can maybe get excited about. I think we've spoken about Conor Barron before. For me, he brings an energy that they've been lacking in midfield. And again, Hamza Gamani, I know that a lot of the supporters are getting excited about him. Early doors, we haven't really seen much, but listen, optimism is in such short supply at Ibrox, then I think they have to take some heart from the small flashes and glimpses they've seen of him. And even Cyril Dessers is scoring goals and took his double yesterday so well. So I think that's definitely the signs that they can be encouraged about. But I totally agree. I think last thing needs to run into Celtic again and get another walloping off them, which I still think would be the end result. They're still a good well off of being able to sort of compete with the Celtic team.
I think you're right though about some of the new boys. Barami would come into that as well. I think he looks as if he will bring some quality to the starting 11. But I think that the ones you mentioned there, Butland had a good game. Hefty looked decent. Barami and him dovetailed quite well on the left-hand side. Connor Barron continues to impress. He's just gone in there and he's really hit the ground running.
Yeah.
He almost looks, which I think is ridiculous when you think about it. Guy's just a young kid, but there's a hell of an onus on his shoulders now because he's actually the main man for them in the centre of the pitch. He's the one that's making this team tick as much as it's ticking. But yeah, these kind of players in particular might help kind of engineer a better sort of mood around the club because it does still seem very flat. They do still seem very wounded, Andy. That seemed to be that was on the face value, a 3-0 win at home at Dundee's, a pretty decent afternoon's work, but it didn't seem to me as if Rangers fans seemed particularly excited about it.
No, I mean, it was a performance that started off a bit laboured. I was like taking notes yesterday throughout the game. I was, the first half was still, pretty drab. There wasn't much to really get, you're thinking this is the first game back at Ibrox after 130 days. You're thinking there's going to be a big atmosphere. People are going to be excited. But again, this scar tissue, this phrase that we always seem to use about Rangers, it seems to affect the supporters. And I think they kind of turned up and were like, right, you have to entertain us for once rather than us be the guys who create the atmosphere and get the team going. So, the fact it was, even with the Colton rear being shut, there was still a lot of empty seats. I think just played into this feeling that, there's a lot of stuff to be won back. This team have got a lot of work to do. But as I say, it's very early days, but there's certain things I think the supporters can look to and go, right, okay, that's something we can be excited about if it carries on. But it's only if it carries on. It's only if it develops and only if it gets better and better and better. But if it doesn't, if it just fizzles out, or if these guys don't develop at the pace that one they'll hope for, two that they need to do in order to be, challenging Celtic next year, then that'll be where the problem comes. But
I think they really have dodged a bullet with that draw this afternoon. I think that's
definitely
a big moment because you're talking about trying to put in building blocks and get there gradually and see improvement. But if they ran into Celtic before they're ready to run into Celtic, if they're ever going to be ready to run into Celtic, you could find that all or any progress that had been made could be blown apart in 90 minutes at Hampden. So that could be a critical moment in the season for Felix Clement. He might have won a bit of a watch there.
In the comment section, Andy, you mentioned that there was a bit of, shoots of green light, sorry, not green light, shoots of positivity. We've had plenty of comments in Rangers. Rangers is okay. Yefty looks a real find. Yilmaz now second choice. Barami, Barron, Cortez, and Gamani look positives as well. Kickoff time didn't help the crowd yesterday. It'll be packed next Sunday. We had this one as well. Tommy Sticks play well today. I think once the new boys start to gel, we can carry on a winning streak. And Eric Brandy on Facebook saying, with the right support, I reckon Big Cyril could break the 40-goal barrier this season. And I wanted to put that to you, Andy. Like, is that not why days like yesterday, is that not why Dessers is so frustrating? Because that second goal he took yesterday, brilliant finish, 2 goals yesterday, but he goes into he doesn't seem to be able to do it, against Celtic.
I mean, he is the absolute dictionary definition of an enigma, isn't he? I mean, like, sometimes, I don't know how many times I've been on Hotline Live already and said this, that there's times you sit back and I imagine Rangers fans are pulling their hair out, watching him sort of ball break off from even yesterday. Spends most of the game arguing with the referee, I'm getting pushed, I'm getting pulled. And I know there's obviously one the penalty and there's another one in the first half that he probably should have a penalty for as well. But there is a lot of time you just get the feeling, see if you stop wrestling with the centre back and actually just watch the ball come in, you would probably have a very good chance of getting to the end of it. But then he goes and finishes like he does for the 2 goals, which are really both pretty sharp finishes. So, yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing about that, I think that'll help Igamani. I think you see that there's already this air of expectancy around about him, or sort of wishful thinking. There's the Rangers support are wishing this guy to become the next big thing. They're wishing to be the new Morelos. And he's he played. I mean, like, has he played 45 minutes of football yet? I doubt it. And he's not hit the target yet. Never mind scored. So I think the fact that you've got Dessel scoring, and it means that they don't need to rush Igamani into the team. Philippe Clement can take his time with him, bed him into the squad, bed him into, he spoke this week about just even bed him into life in Scotland, which, is such a huge transition for having lived in Morocco. So I think that'll help him, the fact that there's not going to be the pressure, the rush to get him into the team. But, I've said it here a couple of times, Sergio Dessers, lovely man. Terrific, by the way, I like the fact that I wish there was a few more guys that like him in Scottish football. It doesn't matter if he's a good game or a bad game. He comes out and speaks to us and he fronts up and he answers all the silly questions we ask of him. And I always think that tells you something about his mindset. He'll miss chances, he'll lose possession, his first touch will desert him in a really sort of mind-boggling way at times, and then he'll be up and he'll score an emphatic finish like he did for that second goal yesterday. So I think there's a lot to be said for the guy's mentality. Okay, he's not the most consistent player in the world, but mentality, I think you've got to give him praise for that.
That's the problem for Cyril Dessers, isn't it? And I happen to agree. I actually feel sorry for him because he does seem like such a genuinely nice fella. But I think the problem is that the Rangers fans have made up their mind about him, long since made up their mind about him. I think he's almost looked upon as the poster boy for Michael Beale's disastrous rebuild. And I don't know if there's much that Cyril Dessers can do to turn this back in his favour. He can keep on scoring goals, but by the way, he did score 23 last season. That's seven goals from 9 games at the start of this season. These numbers are going up. But I just think he's fighting a losing battle. I think that Rangers fans have decided he is not a Rangers number 9. And he's occupying that very shirt. But I don't think they're going to be satisfied. I think the best thing that could happen for Cyril Dessers might be for Ingemani to come in and get a run and keep him out of the team, take him out the firing line and give him a bit of breathing space. Because I get the impression that even though he's got his 2 goals, was there not an incident midway in the second half? We seem to be gesticulating back at the crowd, back at the fans, Andy, that after he'd miscontrolled one of the balls, it looked...
I know that obviously happened in the Dynamo Kiev game. I never saw that yesterday, but I may have been head down writing my online report at that point. But
by the way, he might have been moaning at the linesman. But
he did spend an awful lot of the game moaning at the officials about, then you look at the 2 penalty incidents. I mean, like, Mo Salah for the second one is basically taking a piggyback ride in his back. So maybe at that point with some of that, but I do think he spent a bit too much of certainly the first half sort of remonstrating with the referee when I think just go on with it. Just focus on the cross coming in and getting the end of that and having a row with the ref or the centre back.
Shall we talk about Hearts, guys? Because we mentioned it at the top of the show that obviously Steven Naismith just earlier today was sacked by Hearts after a run of 8 consecutive defeats. The all-time Hearts club record is 10 defeats. So
there's Steven Naismith in the Grim Reaper gear.
What's the guy for Star Wars Emperor? I don't know. I'm not a Star Wars fan. But,
I've seen that tweet.
Well, obviously comments in this as well. Mac McGee, pretty inevitable. No manager can survive losing that many games in a row. Peter saying, sad it's ended this way, but his position was untenable. Thanks for his service as a player and an excellent 3rd place finish, but it's time for a change. And Stevie saying, people won't like it, but Robinson or McInnes seem like good options. I mean, what do you guys make of it?
Star Lizard. What's your answer? Listen, Derek McInnes is a no-brainer, isn't he?
I agree. Yeah.
But
do you think he'd go?
Given the right circumstances and promises from the board, it's look. I don't want to upset Kilmarnock fans because they have Derek McInnes, but let's get it right. Hearts are a big club, and they're a bigger club than Kilmarnock, and they've always been a bigger club than Kilmarnock, and they probably always will be a bigger club than Kilmarnock. It's one of the top jobs in Scottish football. If Hearts went to Derek McInnes with an offer, he'd certainly want to speak to him. I mean, the difficult thing for Derek, I guess, would be that he's really comfortable where he is in terms of his relationship with Billy Bowie at Kilmarnock. He knows he's got the complete trust of the guy in charge. And that's a big thing for Derek McInnes, and it always has been. It's why not back Dave King when Rangers offered him the position. all those years ago. So would he put himself in a situation where if he felt that he might not have the backing, the full support of the people above him at Hearts? I don't think he would. So he'd need to be convinced of that. He'd probably want to speak to Tony Bloom as well to see what he has in mind. And I do just have this thing that because of Brighton's supercomputer and their approach to, and it's brilliant, by the way, you can't knock it, because, when De Zerbi was there, they already had the next one lined up. They know what they're doing. It's like playing masters level chess. These guys are 5 moves ahead. So they've got everything worked out, and they will have names to give to Hearts. I have absolutely no doubt about that. And is Derek McInnes going to feature on that list? Not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know what the data says.
When you look back at the recent third place finishes, Andy, in the Premiership, Naismith, Barry Robson, Jack Ross, Robbie Nielsen, it's a bit of a poison chalice.
That's awful.
I mean, but I think there were signs there last season that this was a Hearts team that were perhaps overachieving. I think if you just look at the over-reliance in Lawrence Shankland, I mean, they obviously had a sort of sticky spell sort of roundabout sort of November time, if I remember correctly, and it was really Shankland's goals that kept them going forward. And there was a point last season where the second highest scorer was his own goals scored by other teams. So this was always the danger. If you don't bring somebody else in to share that burden out, if you don't bring somebody in who's going to take the pressure off him, and then obviously he has a big summer going to the Euros. Obviously he didn't play that much, but he's not getting the downtime that he would have had otherwise. He maybe comes back a wee bit tired, a wee bit jaded, and isn't quite able to recapture that magic that he had last season. Then you're going to be struggling. That's exactly what's happened to him. And I think you can feel sorry for Steven Naismith in the sense that, well, what have Hearts really done to go out and equip him to handle this sort of situation? It's some strange things going on. Joe Savage, who is pretty much well regarded for some of the recruitment that they have done over the last few years at Tynecastle, but he's allowed to leave halfway through a transfer window, or with a couple of weeks left of a transfer window. That seems strange, and then you're bringing in Graham Jones from the SFA, who, well, counts is very good at what he did at the SFA, but he's not a like-for-like replacement. It's a strange appointment in itself. So,
a player liaison guy at the SFA.
Yeah, I mean, just
this is the mental part of it. I completely agree with you. There's a real lack of strategy to the way that Hearts run Hearts. Even Steven Naismith was able to bring in a lot of players, but you kind of look and go, well, many central midfield guys does one team need? They don't seem to have adequate cover at fullback, because sometimes left-footed guys having to play at right back, and you kind of look at it and go, it's a bit all over the shop. And even the appointment in the first instance, something just didn't sit right about all that stuff that went on. Robbie Nielsen, Lee McCulloch, it didn't pass the smell test. And we've talked, Andy, about Rangers. Rangers have got a form of fan ownership, and it's been in place now for the best part of a decade. It's not doing them a great deal of good. So, I wonder if Hearts do need a new approach to how they do their business. And I wonder if that might come in the shape of Tony Bloom and Brighton. Because clearly, that's the polar opposite in terms of how to professionally run a football club. I think Hearts need a bit of help in trying to put restructure.
I just think a little bit as well that every time Hearts have a bit of a bad run, they sack their manager. And it's not the case. It never seems to get the disastrous kind of way that it goes with Hibs. They do seem to sort of implode and everything comes apart. But Hearts, they seem to sack a manager, bring somebody else in, and apart from the sort of Stendhal experiment that went badly wrong, obviously during COVID, ended up getting relegated, but they seem to quickly recover. Obviously they get relegated, they come back in, and they're immediately back in. But I just think is there really a need to sack Steven Naismith? What is the next guy going to come in and do 8 games? 8 games into a season, 3-4 months before a transfer window opens? Is a new guy going to be able to come in and suddenly get find a goal scorer in that squad? That is he going to be able to get stop them making the sort of pretty basic mistakes that they've been making all year that have conceded a lot of goals. Maybe, but I don't see them. I don't see a drastic, upturn in fortunes. I'm just unsure that Steven Naismith was. I would have maybe been tempted to give it a wee bit longer, but listen, you can understand it. As I said, it does go back to last season. A guy that got you third place, but did they overachieve? Maybe a wee bit, but I'm not too sure that I would have been sacked them immediately right now. I would maybe give them another week or two.
8 straight defeats. I mean, if he'd stayed in the job, if he hadn't been sacked this morning, he would have been having a heart attack every time his phone rang this weekend, wouldn't he? Because
I suppose you also get the Europa League, the Conference League coming up, so the potential, the workload in the team, the ability to rest guys wasn't going to be getting any easier. It was going to get tougher. But I don't know. I just think 8 games into a season, a guy that got you third, I'm just a wee bit uncomfortable with sacking him at this stage of the season. But listen, I can understand the reason when you think it does go back to last year. So
before I let you go, guys, Johnny here's saying if Hearts board keep it simple, to go for McInnes. Craig Levine is looking for a job though.
Oh.
I mean, that would certainly be box office if we could do that. This one here, Danny Boy.
We want to watch.
Danny Boy backing you up. Keith, earlier on, Hearts could do worse than get Falkirk's present manager. He knows his stuff. But we mentioned McInnes there. Stephen Robinson was mentioned in another comment. Who else should really be in Hearts' crosshairs, for want of a better phrase?
I think Stephen Robinson's a good name because I think he's been absolutely terrific for St Mirren, and I think he deserves a shot at a so-called bigger club. And I say that advisedly, given our stay in Paisley. I'm down at St Mirren quite a lot. I think he's done a fantastic job there. Anytime you walk into the training ground at St Mirren, the vibe around the place is so positive. I think that's been so key to it. I think such a tight-knit squad. I think he's responsible because he's been largely responsible for recruiting a lot of the players that St Mirren have found and getting the best out of these. He's made a big thing of getting guys that maybe been discarded elsewhere or overlooked and giving them that sort of second chance, and he's really getting his rewards for that. And I think he deserves a shot at a bigger club. And obviously, we've spoken about Hearts are undoubtedly one of the big 5 in this country, and I think he would deserve that. But McInnes, I think again is another who deserves. I think a lot of Aberdeen fans. Okay, this season are having great fun under Jimmy Cullen, but I think before that, I think there's a few that maybe were desperate to see the back of him. Maybe didn't enjoy his style of football, but after the Barry Robsons, the Jim Goodwins, the Stephen Glasses, maybe I think, maybe we're a wee bit hasty there with that one. So I think he deserves another shot at one of the big clubs, and I would like to see. I'd like to see how he got on there. So I think Stephen Robinson or McInnes would be my 2 picks.
I actually think if Derek McInnes was to take that job on, that he really would make Hearts a side fit to throw the sort of punches it should be capable of throwing in this league. I actually believe with Derek McInnes there, they'd be regular, same as they did with Aberdeen. They'd be regular. It's very seldom outside the top 3, and competing for trophies. And you just know what you're getting with Derek McInnes. He's just a good all-round experienced manager. And just look at the job he's done at Kilmarnock. If anybody needed a refresher course on how good a manager is Derek McInnes, just look at what he's done over the last couple of years at Kilmarnock. It's an outstanding job, but it probably makes way too much sense for Hearts to do that.
Yeah. Guys, I think that brings to the end of Sunday's Hotline Live with Record Sport. If you contributed in the comment section, thank you very much. We'll be back to do it all again at 6 p.m. tomorrow night. Andy, Keith, thank you very much for joining me.
See you tomorrow.
All the best, Daniel. Thank you.
And thanks for watching.